Greetings, hockey fans, and welcome to this edition of Lumber Wrap. Time for another PLK podcast, edition number 2. Jeff Patterson of the Lumber Kings here, along with assistant coach Sean Crozier, and we're happy that you're able to tune in. As a matter of fact, this is an interactive podcast, of course. You do have a chance to email questions to us, and you can email your questions to plkpodcast@gmail.com. And, of course, we'll try to address some of these more pertinent questions in our next podcast, which we hope to have live within 10 days or so. Anyway, Sean, the big news is the preseason has basically come to an end. Training camp over, obviously, and the Lumber Kings are getting ready to fire up the Rockets. Now, I think we should first of all perhaps start back and take a little bit more in-depth look at the training camp. It had a good pace to it from what I saw. I got on the ice with the boys a little bit myself, and quite a bit of physicality to it. Maybe a few comments to start on what you thought of this year's edition of the Lumber Kings training camp.
Yeah, it was a busy training camp. We played 6 games. We had a stretch in there. We played 3 games in 3 nights, and that was to kind of emulate what we're going to come up against this weekend. 3 days, 3 games in a row at Showcase weekend. So that was thrown in there, and then obviously with you talk about the physicality in preseason, and players on both sides of the teams that we're playing, our guys and other teams, they've got guys trying to make squads and to get noticed, and then the fact of if you're an older guy and you have some guy run around and he's finishing his checks on you, you're not taking very lightly that, so you want to return the favor. So, and which is good. I mean, the older veteran guys, it kind of gave them a taste maybe of got to get themselves going, and as a younger guy trying to make a team or a new guy trying to make a team, they're trying to get noticed, which is good.
Well, we noticed the young Rankin native Colton Keel stepping up a couple times and actually getting involved in some fisticuffs. Dupuis, the big defenseman as well, they weren't reluctant to drop the gloves. They felt they had to stick up for a teammate or whatever. What does that show you as far as how they're starting to play for one another at this early juncture in the season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I think going forward every day you want to have a tough team, which is, it doesn't necessarily mean you're the most goon squad or whatever, but it just means that you stick up for each other, and most importantly, you stick up for yourself on the ice, that you have a little bit of pushback, that you're not going to get pushed around. And I think just moving forward, now that we actually are going to start some real games here and get after it, that it's a good message to send to your teammates that I have your back and you have mine, and if you can get the team united that way and get everyone playing on the same page and doing it for each other, it's going to pay off dividends in the long run.
Well, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning into the Pembroke Lumber King YouTube channel. If you're listening that way, thanks very much. We continue our preseason edition here on Lumber King Wrap, the Kings official podcast. And Crow, you guys talk a lot about bonding, and the last game of that series, or the preseason series, if you will, ended up in Kingston. So a little bit of a roadie for the boys, and a really formidable record this year. One blemish against Nepean. Other than that, the squad really looks strong. What was it like to kind of go on the road to Kingston and play in some unfamiliar territory?
Yeah, it was. I think it was a good experience for our guys. It was a little bit of a longer trip, which in this league, honestly, isn't that long. So it was a good trip. We went to play a team in a different league, get a little bit of different flavor. And for Dupuis, it was kind of going back home for him, and we spent some time on that team last year. So and we went in there with pretty close to what our lineup, what we think it's going to be, and so we had a good team going in there, and I thought we played pretty well. We played a solid game. Our goaltender, the whole game played well, and then we ended up coming out there with a win. And then, but we talked about the team bonding. It was a chance for the guys to get on a bus and watch the movies and hang out. And after the game, we went out to eat as a team. So it's just about a couple of those things, just getting to know each other and getting a feel for each other. And then, so at the end of the day, you're comfortable with each other and you're comfortable in your surroundings. And then hopefully by the time the puck drops, I guess tomorrow, everything's all good, and then everyone's on the same page.
You started to touch on movies. I have to pull my Slapshot quote out here, Crow. We talked a little bit about people having the ability to take part in these podcasts, which means you can email your questions to plkpodcast@gmail.com. But as Jim Carr in Slapshot said, try to keep those questions within the boundaries of good taste.
Yeah, we would really appreciate that.
The goaltending, you touched on the goaltending of the Lumber Kings. Now, Hordadechuk has been a real stalwart between the pipes so far this year. It looks like he's going to bring some outstanding things to the table here for Pembroke. And young Sean Green is destined to kind of spare him off, I guess, for lack of better terms. It seems like it's a definite 1-2 punch, but it looks like the Kings are pretty comfy between the pipes this year.
Yeah, well, it's easy for us to say that right now. We had a pretty good preseason between the pipes. We had 3 goalies at camp, and I thought all 3 goalies did a fairly good job when they were in the pipes. And I know Green kind of was under the weather for, it seemed like, the majority of the camp, so we know that he's kind of just trying to get his game going a little bit. But for Hordadechuk, he right now, as a advertised, we have high expectations of him coming into the season where we got him in the Sioux, where he was outstanding for them last year. And we need him just to be a rock back there for us and be somebody that we can rely on when things get tough, that he can make the saves. And as of right now, I mean, he's doing his job. He's a slighter, smaller guy, but what he lacks in size, he makes up with in effort.
Well, the Kings are about to face their first test of the season, and this showcase tournament's a little different than regular season hockey. Of course, it counts in the regular season standings for all teams in the league, but it actually kicks off tonight, Friday night. But the Lumber Kings are in action against Cornwall on Saturday. That's a 1:30 start, and you're pretty well thrown into the fire here, Crow. You guys have a test right off the hop against a team that's hosting the Fred Page Cup, so a glorious chance to prove your worth in Lumber King Red here this weekend, and the boys jump right into the fire, don't they?
Yeah, it's the same schedule we had last year. Actually, we play the same 3 teams at Showcase, and last year we were kind of hoping we could come out with, obviously with 6 points of a possible 6, but we ended up coming back out with 3. We had a shootout loss to Cornwall in the first game of the season, and we know what they're going to be like tomorrow. We know they're a good team. They were a pretty solid team last year. I think they have one of the better players in the league, and Marley Quince is their leader, and he kind of brings an all-around hard kind of hockey game. And then they have a D-man, a couple of good D-men. Zach Henry is one that he's gonna pose challenges for our forwards. We got to get after him and take away his time and space and get in shot lanes when he's in the offensive zone, but. They play a different style, Patty. It's like they don't really care if you're taking shots from the outside or from the point. When stuff kind of gets hard for them, they collapse, and they're very good at blocking shots, and they want to move bodies from out in front. But it's going to be a challenge for some of our smaller forwards, I think, to find ways to the dirty areas and see if we can find a way to pot a couple.
Well, Cornwall, a very difficult team to play against, Crow. Often at the Ed Lumley Arena in Cornwall as well, they kind of lull you to sleep, and all of a sudden, bang, 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 it's good night, Irene. So we have to watch the Colts, obviously, but then it's a little maybe challenging for you guys getting these fellows prepared, because you go from a Cornwall squad, fairly well disciplined, to Hawkesbury that are kind of more run and gun and not afraid to take penalties. It's a little different angle. The second game is the Kings take on Hawks from Hawkesbury on Sunday.
Yeah, Hawkesbury last year, at least the team they had last year, it could get a little crazy at times. I know that when we played them at Showcase last year, it seemed like every stoppage of play there was a penalty. So we know that they've changed their personnel a little bit. Their management has brought in all different coaches, and they've changed their look a little bit. I look for them to be a much improved team. I don't think if our players are thinking that it's going to be pretty easy to walk in and then beat up on Hawkesbury in the Showcase, I think we're going to be very mistaken. And the thing with these Showcase tournaments it's an absolute zoo when you get down to the Sensplex in Ottawa. There's people everywhere. There's scouts everywhere. And then you got to get pictures. You got you got to be here, and it's an absolute mess. So it is a little bit challenging to kind of keep guys focused, and then obviously with as a player you're playing in front of a lot of scouts and you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, and I think that's the wrong way to look at it. As a coach, we want to go in there, we want to take, each day we want to take 2 points, but we also want to showcase our players and hope that they can gain some attention from the next level. But yeah, as a player, you have to be ready just to do what it takes to get those 2 points and then put them in the bank and then get after it the next day.
Well, the Sunday game is a 4:30 start versus the Hawks, and then on Monday the Kings are right back at it again, 4 o'clock start versus the arch rival Brockville Braves. And I know you know the coaching staff well there in Brockville. They're always ready to play. They're always one of the top teams in the league. What are you expecting on Monday after 3 games in a row after sitting for a week idle?
Yeah, they're gonna be ready to go against us. We ended their season, and they obviously we ended in their barn, and they're a little bitter about that. So we expect them to be a solid game. At this league, Patty, you can't take anybody lightly. On any given night, somebody can upset you. So especially where we're at right now, I mean we're not anticipating going 62-0 like no team's going to, but where there's going to be some nights where some teams are going to give us a hard time, and we have to be prepared right off the hop here that Brockville just is going to be that team that maybe can do that to us. I mean, just the fact that the kind of rivalry we have with them, their players know that. I'm hoping that we can get that across of our players. We have a lot of new guys in the lineup that that this is they're probably one of our biggest rivals in the league, and every time we play them, there's more than 2 points up for grabs.
So there's a busy weekend happening, but then the Kings are thrust right into the regular season schedule again, Crow. We got a Wednesday game and a Saturday game as well. So basically 5 or 6 games of hockey here in a very short amount of time. That's going to take some discipline on your players to stay hydrated, stay well fed, stay rested. All these type of things really come into play as we kick off this hockey season.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, even just going into this weekend, we want to make sure guys are doing the right things and treating their body the right way. I mean, they're young and stuff, and they should be able to bounce back. But it's going to take its toll on us. But it's a busy start, and obviously with there's that Saturday night game going into Carleton Place for their home opener, and I think that should be motivation that if we do our business here in the first 3 games, and then hopefully we do our business against Nepean, that we could possibly go into their home opener and maybe spoil the party a little bit. And that, I think, we don't want to look past, obviously, the first 4 games of the regular season. But if you can put yourself into the position that you're doing well up to that point, I think it shouldn't be very hard to get up for that 5th game.
Well, Crow, you've been known to spoil a few parties yourself. You're talking about spoiling some parties. How about the party your ex-teammate Jeff Rodell is having down in Colorado? I know you wanted to give a little update on some of the alumni here as we roll through our podcast.
Yeah, so Jeff Rodell, a guy from the 2017 defenseman from Colorado. He was actually my roommate at school, and he very happy to announce that him and his wife Crystal-Lynn welcomed the newest member of their family, a young baby boy, into their family last week. Pretty big boy, Patty. I think he was about 10 pounds, and they say he was pretty wide too. So in my text to Jeff, I congratulated him and just told him that hopefully we have another right-handed puck-moving, punishing defenseman on our hands from Colorado.
Yeah, sounds like a strapping defenseman. A couple strapping defensemen from the past too, with some Lumber King alumni. We want to shout out to the Straisman family, of course. Don Straisman, the father figure of the family, lost his wife. His son David played for the Lumber Kings as well, both outstanding defensemen for the Kings. So, the hockey in Pembroke is a multi-generational affair, and our thoughts are with the Straismans here as we get ready for the hockey season and on to brighter things, hopefully. Now, this is our pre-season edition. Hope you're enjoying things here. I don't know if you want to make a little prediction here, Crow, as we get ready for the season. It's pretty well a given that we've been spoiled in Pembroke, and is a championship season the only option right now? Is that the type of goals you guys set, or you want to just back off the gas pedal a little bit? What type of viewpoint do you look forward here as you enter this 2014-2015 season?
No, I don't think we want to let off the gas pedal at all. I mean, the expectation is that we are at least going to compete for a championship. So, it's a long season, and then you don't have like different kind of goals. But I think for this team, with a lot of new faces, I think a realistic goal for the regular season is to get yourself home ice in the playoffs, and hopefully you would have home ice for the whole set of the playoffs, would be finishing first. But I'd like to think that the expectation is we can at least win our division and finish hopefully in the top two teams in the league, and then that sets us up pretty good for the playoffs. But yeah, at the end of the day, when the playoffs are over, we want to be the ones that are having the parties, so to speak. So that's the expectation in Pembroke, and then when I was playing, that was the expectation, and now that I'm coaching, it's the expectation, and I don't think in the time period between when I was playing, when I was coaching, that wasn't the expectation. So and I think the fans and everybody around the team, and even there's people that are just casual fans of the team that just pay attention a little bit. The expectation is, it's not a good season if you haven't hoisted the cup at the end of it.
Well, there we go. We want to see if we're hoisting the mug now. Notable departures. We lost guys like, of course, Gleason in the back end. Sammy, obviously a rock for many years back there on the defensive end of things for the Kings. Darren Smith in nets. Guys like Pataccio and Staples up front. That's a lot of quality individuals, but you know what? In my views, it seems like you guys really did your homework in replacing, because it's a really optimistic time of year here, and you seem to have the tools in place in the old tool belt to maybe make a run at it here in this upcoming season.
Yeah, I think Pat and Dale did a very good job, filling some spots on our team that were left with the guys that departed. And don't forget, we lost Kyle Shaw and Lucas Ganu and Trent Roche are three guys that were big bodies on our team, and those guys will be missed for sure. Especially when you get into these 3-3s and you get into playoff series and whatnot. But we replaced guys and guys moved on, and that's great. But I think we have a good group of guys. I think from all accounts, everyone is seeing the light at the end of the tunnel here, what we're trying to do, and so I think that bodes well. I mean, we're going to take some lumps this year for sure. I think you have to at least experience some of these lumps, early, and it's going to be with the way we respond. And obviously, you're not going to win you're not going to win a championship with the team you have in August. You want to hope that the team you have, can evolve and get better every day, and then by the time you roll around the playoffs, you're totally different. Might be the same bodies, but a different team.
Well, thanks for doing this, Crow. This is Showcase Preview, podcast number 2, PLK wrap here tonight. Jeff Patterson alongside assistant coach Sean Crozier. And I think that's going to be it. We're going to try to get another one on the air here shortly if we're all willing, and hopefully our intern Ian gets back on the bandwagon as well, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that should be a fine, Patty, eh? What do you think?
I think we could lower something on him.
Yeah, I would think maybe he owes us something, but we'll have to come up with a rule of thumb there to keep everyone on the same page here and accountable, I guess, Patty.
Now, to close, Crow, we've tried some NHL banter before, and I know you always tell me bald is beautiful. You're pretty happy with your Ottawa Senators signing that bald goaltender for an extension, aren't you?
Yeah, why not? I mean, he wants to be in Ottawa, so we'll take him. No, I do think it's a good signing. They have Leonard locked up, and now they got Anderson locked up for 3 years. I mean, obviously, there's no hiding it that Leonard is the goalie of the future, or at least that is the plan. But I don't know if they wanted to go and have your the most valuable position of the team. Because then when you do if Anderson's gone and Leonard's there, what do you back him up with? I think they've done well with the money and the term to lock up 2 goalies, and there's a healthy competition there. So I don't know how that can be a bad thing. ideally, at some point throughout the the 3-year contracts that the two of them have, that you can maybe wheel one of them maybe near the end of those 3 years to get a good piece.
Well, it makes sense. Let's hope the former Lumber King head coach Brian Murray at the helm in Ottawa is back to health, and I think he still has to maybe put his finger on a couple deals before this NHL season opens.
Well, yeah, you'd like to lock up Bobby Ryan and possibly Mark Mathot, or see what you can do with those pieces anyway. But what's going on in the city of brotherly love, Patty?
Well, they've had a few repercussions, I think, of the departure of Scott Hartnell. That's kind of causing some murmurs in the media, and Hartnell speaking out a little bit. So, it's I think that's typical Philly, though, right? If all was smooth, people wouldn't be in Philly. There's always a little bit of excitement in that town.
Oh, for sure. And I was reading the hockey news. Hartnell, there's a little piece on him for the Blue Jackets and their team reports, and he said he can't. The last thing he says, he can't wait to get that first game back in Philly. So I don't know when that is, but if we're not playing, that's me one of the ones I'll be watching for sure.
Well, his hair's growing as we speak in anticipation of that matchup. Anyway, we're really happy you were able to join us. Don't forget, you do have the ability to be interactive with us here at the podcast. You can email your questions to plkpodcast@gmail.com. I'm Jeff Patterson signing off with assistant coach Sean Crozier for this edition of Lumber King Wrap.